A lot of news in the boxing world today, and it's only Monday. There's going to be a lot more news coming later this week. So there's a lot happening right now. But of course, the biggest news is that Canelo-Golovkin is going to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas this September. So look, guys, we all pretty much knew this is what was going to happen. Myself and many of you out there, we were optimistic that they would do the right thing, the parties involved, but they didn't. They did the regular thing. And here's the way I see it. Look, a lot of boxing fans are really aggravated, frustrated, disappointed, if not outright just pissed off today. And guys, you have a right to be. It's justifiable. Myself, I'm lucky. I work in media, so I get to go to the fight for free. I get a credential to the fight. So I'm lucky in that regard, but I also understand the fan perspective. And just thinking about this, if this fight was in Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium, or even at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, or Madison Square Garden in New York, anything outside of Vegas at a big stadium where you could do a big event, it would be a sporting event. When you put it in Vegas at T-Mobile Arena, it's a boxing event. And there's a difference there. I really feel that this thing belonged at AT&T Stadium. And part of it is, that you could do a crowd of 90,000 at least. I think that a fight there in Texas would have done a bigger crowd than what Joshua Klitschko did earlier this year over at Wembley in London, right? So that's part of it. But it's also the fact that you'd be working with Jerry Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys, owns that stadium. They call it Jerry World. I was so interested in that stadium and possibly this fight maybe going there that I actually went out to Dallas and checked it out. I checked out that venue, and it's amazing. It's the hugest stadium I've ever seen. And it would have been bigger because Jerry Jones, again, owns the Dallas Cowboys. That is the biggest brand in the biggest sport in America. So think about this. America is the biggest capitalist country in the world, right? And they say baseball is America's game, but that's bullshit. That was decades ago. Football is America's game. The NFL is the most powerful sports league in the world, bar none. And the Cowboys are one of the biggest, most iconic brands, probably the most dollar-wise expensive brand in the NFL. You got the owner of that team putting on a major fight in that venue. The cross-promotion opportunities, the people who don't even really pay attention to boxing, but pay attention to Jerry Jones and what he says, the being in the middle of the country, I tweeted out all about the flight information and stuff like that, the proximity to Mexico City, to Guadalajara, to the different parts of Mexico, and then to the two coasts of America, all of it. I think it would have made this thing even bigger. I'm not saying it would have sold more pay-per-views, but of course it would have did a bigger crowd, that's obvious. But that bigger crowd in more mainstream media exposure, again, would have taken it from a boxing event to a sporting event. And there's such a difference in that. So I really feel it's a missed opportunity. And I can't help but be disappointed myself. I can't help but be pissed off, even though it's like, I'm kicking myself because I'm like, I'm telling myself, Mike, you knew this is what they were going to fucking do. So why are you upset? This is what they always do. And in the end, money walks, or money talks, bullshit walks. And that's what happened here. So I'm not surprised. You're not surprised. But I think because 2017 has been such a good year, we've had already such big events. On the other side of the world, we had that Joshua Klitschko fight, which it looks like we're going to get a part 2 this fall, and they did it the right way, and they're going to do the rematch the right way. All those things, I think people really thought, they held out hope, and they really thought, man, this thing's going to go to the right place. That being said, guys, it's understandable that people are frustrated and pissed off. Yes, it's a missed opportunity. We still got a great fight. And this thing is still not Mayweather-Pacquiao. It's happening at the right time. I remember making a video about this fight, and I was starting to talk about it a year and a half ago. And I said that the expiration date is September of 2017. So they got it right. Yeah, they milked it for as long as they could. But let's be honest, guys. Generations past, they would have milked this thing for 3-4 more years. So let's give them that much. Let's hope that they put on a strong undercard. Let's hope that there's at least 5,000 tickets available for real boxing fans. We know T-Mobile Arena seats 20,000 people. 15,000 or more of those tickets will not be available for the general public. They're going to be sold through brokers, special deals, packages with the casinos, all for the whales, right? That's where those are going. But maybe 5,000 regular fans can pay $500 for nosebleed seats. It sounds horrible, but it is what it is, right? And what's amazing is there's so many people defending this decision. I've seen it on Twitter. There's a lot of people upset, but there are people, there's going to be thousands of people who go up to Vegas and party that week and just watch on closed circuit, that pay money to sit in a room and watch it on closed circuit and hang out at the casinos just to be part of the atmosphere. For a lot of fans, that's fun for them. So look, it's a capitalist society. You know what you're getting. I guess if you want to travel there and watch on closed circuit, cool. Me personally, I would, if I were a fan and I couldn't afford that much money to go to a fight, I would have much rather paid $100 to go watch it at AT&T Stadium or even here in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium. But that is what it is. As far as the pay-per-view, for those of you who are upset about this decision, you can make your voice heard by hitting them in the wallet. There are 80,000 people now that were potentially going to go to this fight if it was at AT&T Stadium who now cannot go, who will not go to T-Mobile Arena to watch this fight. Those are 80,000 people that are essentially being forced to either go to Vegas, watch closed circuit, or stay at home and order the pay-per-view. Those of you who are staying at home, the way you can make your voice heard is to not pay for the pay-per-view, to stream it. And yeah, I work in media. It goes against my best interest to say that. Right? Because it's in my best interest for this thing to do really, really well. And, you know, hopefully have a rematch and all that stuff because I get to go, I get to cover it. But for you guys, make your voice heard. If this upsets you, if this decision bothers you, and you thought maybe you were going to Dallas to watch this, right? And now you can't. Don't pay for the damn fight. Stream it. You know damn well it's going to be on Facebook Live and all kinds of other services. So that's what it is. You know, but I've heard some conjecture saying that the Mayweather-McGregor thing is what moved this thing to Las Vegas, right? I'm sorry, but that's an excuse. Mayweather-McGregor is nowhere near signed. No matter what rumors you heard, whatever. Mayweather isn't even, at this point, interested. It doesn't even look like it's going to happen at this point. Possibly still. But it's nowhere near done. There's so much that still has to be ironed out. So if you hear the promoters spinning it, you know, this announcement does come a week after Oscar De La Hoya made his little rant on Facebook dissing the Mayweather-McGregor fight and begging boxing fans not to support that and using all this hyperbole like that fight's going to destroy boxing. So I understand why some fans draw that conclusion, but you should never base your business on what somebody else is doing solely. It's one thing if they actually have an operation going, an ongoing operation, and you counteract that or something. But this is just rumors. That fight's just rumors. And I don't think Mayweather and McGregor, and especially the investors in UFC and all that, Dana White and all those people, are dumb enough to have gone head-to-head with Canelo-Golovkin. If Canelo Triple G was in Dallas and Mayweather-McGregor went in Vegas on the same date, I'm sorry, guys, but I think both fights would still sell out. I think both fights would still do big numbers. It all comes down to who announced their fight first. I don't think Mayweather-McGregor was going to happen in September regardless. So here we are now. We know the fight. We know the date. We know the venue, all that good stuff. We're upset. We're disappointed. But at the same time, we need to be thankful for what we do have, which is a great, great matchup. I think personally it's set up that we're going to have a 3-fight series here. I think that we very well may see, probably going to see Golovkin win a decision in this fight, and then a rematch next year that Canelo probably wins, and then we get a rubber match. That's just the way it's set up. It's just the way I feel. And maybe there's deals underneath happening here, future dates, you know, being put on hold. by Golden Boy, who's in control of this promotion, with the people at MGM who own T-Mobile Arena, saying, look, man, we get this rematch next year. We want dibs, this date, blah, blah, blah. You know, all that stuff's part of it. These deals are so complicated. They're so much bigger than just one date, one night. Sometimes there's a long-term plan there. We can't possibly know what they're trying to do. It just seems like a missed opportunity. And I hear some of you guys out there saying, when fights are at stadiums, they're not that fun, right? And it's not all that it's cracked up to be. But you know who I hear saying that, though, is usually upper middle class people that can afford going to fights in Las Vegas at casinos. I don't hear too many working class people saying that. The people I've talked to who went to Canelo Smith in Dallas last year, or went to AJ Vlad this year, or went to other big stadium fights, that are working class people, diehard boxing fans, the lifeblood of the sport, people who make less than average income, who are able to afford to go to a big event like that and be part of it. Yeah, maybe you don't have the best view in the world, but you're sitting amongst 90,000 fellow boxing fans, or whether it's 50, 60,000, whatever. And for a guy who never gets to go to a fight because they're always in a casino, and suddenly you get to go to a fight like that, it comes to your hometown, that's a big thing for those folks. So I think it's rather arrogant and shitty for some people to say, oh, fights at stadiums are overrated. At the same time, I would never say every fight should be in a stadium. We need the casinos. They serve a function, and Vegas has carried boxing a lot. But I do think that, look, just like the pay-per-view model from the 80s and 90s has blown up, and it's shown itself to be old world, and people have moved past it, and it's falling behind. It's the same thing with the casino setup. The casino site fees and promoters depending on that, fighters depending on that to get a guaranteed purse, and almost milking it, and the fans being milked through that whole process too. That's outdated. Guys, there's cities all over this country, all over the world that have these huge venues that have open dates year long. The fights can be put there. And you look at a guy like Errol Spence, who's from the Dallas area, is from DeSoto, Texas, a suburb of Dallas. Well, he could build something up right there, right? And you could see fights of his put on in that area. Much like even you're seeing Deontay Wilder fighting in Alabama. Whoever thought there'd be a boxing crowd of over 10,000 in Alabama? There's opportunities here to build things at the grassroots level in local markets, so that when you want to bring a super fight to town at a venue that can seat 80, 90,000, there's a precedent there. There's a fan base there. And I really think that's what we had in Dallas. You know, Jerry Jones apparently didn't even put a bid in for this fight. Magic Johnson put in a bid for Dodger Stadium here in Los Angeles. Other people in different cities, different venues, put in actual bids to Golden Boy. Jerry Jones didn't even bother with it. So that lets you know right there that even though there was some talks, he knew. Jerry Jones is not new to this. He knew and understood this thing was going to Vegas. So it is what it is. We got the fight. We should be happy about that. But at the same time, it is a missed opportunity. And I think you're going to get all the details about the Joshua-Klitschko rematch later this week. I think on Wednesday, Klitschko is going to meet with his advisor over there, I think in Germany, Bernd Bonte. And they're going to discuss the details, and he'll finally decide yay or nay. It's probably going to be yay. But if Eddie Hearn, they're getting offers from different continents for that fight, not just different venues, but I'm talking different continents, okay? The fight will probably land in the UK, but if they put that fight on in a venue and they do another crowd, even if it's 50,000, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom will still be showing up Golden Boy here. And let me also say this. A lot of you are really pissed off at Oscar De La Hoya, and I get it, but he's not the only one that should get the blame here. Yes, in a scenario like this, the A side carries more of the blame than the B side, but that doesn't mean that Tom Loeffler and Gennady Golovkin don't carry some blame here. Now, De La Hoya and Canelo carry the lion's share of the blame, but all parties involved had a say in this. And when it comes to ticket pricing, charging for the weigh-in, all this other crap that's coming up, the price of the pay-per-view, the co-feature, all that stuff, all parties involved have a say here, okay? Yes, Golden Boy has a lion's share of it, but don't just be mad at Oscar. You should be mad at Canelo too. This falls on the fighter at some point as well, guys. When that fighter wants a certain guaranteed purse, when they think, you know, 20 million's great, but 30 million's even better if we go here, that's on the fighter, right? The promoter's doing what's best for his business, but he's also doing what's best for his fighter according to what his fighter wants. So you can't just be mad at Oscar. You got to be mad at Canelo Alvarez himself. And you got to be mad at all parties involved. In boxing, we never get everything we want. It just doesn't happen. Sometimes we get some of what we want. Sometimes we don't get any of it. In 2017, we're getting a lot of what we want. And the fact that we're getting Canelo-Golovkin before its due date is gone, before it's expired, that's a great thing. So we're probably never going to get everything we want. We were never going to get this in a stadium. We weren't going to get what they got over in the UK with Joshua Klitschko. It just doesn't happen here in America. The one thing I'll say is, look, for those of you defending this decision, defending Vegas, I get it to a degree, but try to understand that that model is failing. There's only so many dates Vegas can provide, and at some point, you got to put some of these super fights in a regular place where regular fans can go. Ask any of the 90,000 people who were there for Joshua Klitschko, or the tens of thousands who were there for Brooks Spence a couple weeks ago. Ask any of those people. That's over 100,000 people. Ask any of them if they hated that experience and if they'll never be back to a boxing match again. I can tell you firsthand because I've received messages from tons of people who paid thousands of dollars to go to Canelo Chavez that they're at least telling me they will never go to a boxing match again in Las Vegas. What does that tell you? What's more important? That money that was grabbed for Canelo Chavez from those guys who never want to come back, who are pissed, who have a bitter taste in their mouth? Or little hundreds of dollars here and there from some of these fans who went to these big events and loved it because it was like a party. What's more important? So yes, casinos, Vegas plays a factor, guys, but there's different fights for different venues. Sometimes you want to be in a small venue. Sometimes you want to be in a place like StubHub or the MGM over there in Maryland by DC. You know, sometimes that makes sense. That's what, 3,000 people there? You need those venues. But a fight like this, man, it just belongs in a big stadium. It could have been bigger than a boxing event. But as it is, it's not going to be a sporting event. It's going to be a boxing event. But I know a lot of you guys are going to be there. I'll be there. So we're getting what we want. We're just not getting it all. So let's go ahead and be bitchy. Let's vent. Let's, vent our frustrations. And look, it doesn't make you a bad person if you're pissed off and you bitch about this for a while. It doesn't make you a negative person. It doesn't make you a bad boxing fan. It makes you a human fucking being. So be human, bitch. Get it out of your system. I'll get it out of my system. And then we'll enjoy the fight. So we'll be talking a lot about this fight in the coming months. And, I'll break it all down. We'll chop it all up. Let me know what you guys think about this. Am I overreacting? I just think that this is a missed opportunity. I really, really do. Especially with such a growing market in the Dallas area with some fighters coming up. There's a gym scene down there. Houston's 4 hours drive. San Antonio's 4 or 5 hours drive from Dallas. There's a lot of gyms down there, man. There's young fighters being built up. There was such an opportunity here to build something. And look, it's going to do big business. This fight's going to be huge. I get it. It was on SportsCenter on ESPN today, just announcing the venue. I get all of that. I just think too often American promoters are so short-term thinking. They just need to be longer-term thinking. They need to expand their horizons and think bigger down the line. Think of the families who could have brought kids, grandkids, to a Canelo-Golovkin fight at AT&T Stadium. That's not going to be happening in Las Vegas. So that's all I'm saying, guys. That's my rant on this one. We'll be talking a lot more about it, I'm sure.